Good morning. It is a little after 9:30. I'll call this morning's meeting to order. Looking for an approval of the agenda. We do have an agenda addition to set our public hearing for November 13th for the request to adopt the renewable energy ordinance.
Move to approve with the addition.
We have a motion to approve with the addition.
Second with the addition.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes. Citizens to be heard, is there anyone who's here that's wishing to speak on anything not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move into the approval of payment of bills and vouchers.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Haney and a second by Commissioner Campbell. Further discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Our next item is the approval of the minutes from the October 9th meeting.
Move approval.
We have a motion
Second.
to approve by Commissioner Haney and a second by Commissioner Wayland. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Item number 2 is our request for approval to fill the vacancy for full-time corrections officer. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning. So we had a resignation. Individual's last day will be December 1st, so this is a DOC mandated position, so we're looking to get approval to replace that. There is just a slight cost savings involved with it, about $2,300.
What are the board's wishes?
Move approval.
We have a motion to
Second.
approve by Commissioner Haney and a second by Commissioner Wayland. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Briefly?
And we do want to say,
Yeah, can we publicly have a little comment on your first day of?
Yeah, so we're into our second day now in the new facility, one full night in. Things went really well. For most of yesterday morning, I shouldn't say they didn't go well in the afternoon, just had some small bugs we had to work out. Nothing as far as the inmate moves. All the inmates are really impressed with the facility. Just some procedural things we gotta work out. So
no, we don't want them to hear.
That's too bad.
but yeah, I think overall everything went really well. Staff are trying to find their groove on how things are going to go in this new facility, because it is quite a different process. So we'll get there. I think we'll get there probably by the end of the week, and it'll take a little bit longer than that just to get fully comfortable with the building. But we keep discovering things here and there. We get a water leak or something, or a door just doesn't shut right now that the whole building's kind of pressurized and everything's closed up. But we've been working with the contractors and everything and getting everything squared away.
Have you got all the prisoners transferred?
Everyone that was in custody was transferred by about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and I would say 75% of them were moved before 11:30 yesterday morning. So the vast majority of them have been moved, or all of them have been moved now that are in custody. We're just slowly bringing everyone back from out of county now. We're going to get a shipment in today, so there'll probably be 5-6 guys coming in on the bus today. So,
And the plan, just to reiterate, is that as they have court hearings and whatnot, you'll bring them back, isn't it?
yeah, that seems to be what's going to work out best for transports as well, because they've been busy with the sheriff's department and doing some MIs and stuff like that. So, just to kind of make sure we have all the bugs worked out, we'd like to just slowly bring them back as we have court. That way we don't have 150, 140 inmates, and say, hey, we have issues here. We need to work out with all those inmates. But I think this is a good test for us. I think there's about 60 individuals in the facility right now. By the end of the week, we will increase that by at least 20. So, just depending on how heavy the courts are, we could see everyone back here, or 98% of them back here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Just
Commissioner
a comment, last Thursday I was able to stop by with your kind of pre-group with the jail ministries, and we want to thank them for that. And they were impressed with the meal they got, not necessarily with the quality, but the quantity. But it was nice to see all of them, and they all had really good things to say about the facility, so.
Yeah, we got to talk with a lot of them as we checked them out, both me and Julie, and I would say the vast majority of them had a fun time with it. I think the majority of them were happy that they weren't sleeping over, but I think overall they really liked getting to see kind of what things were, and we explained a lot of the rules and kind of went through some small scenarios with them too, and they seemed to enjoy it all.
All right, anything else? Well, thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
For your work. I'll take the agenda addition quickly. It's to set a public hearing date, November 13th, for the request to adopt a Clay County Renewable Energy Ordinance. Stephen Beatlesbacher, you're on this one.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners. This is the next step in a process, a renewed process to have the county board consider adopting an ordinance regulating renewable energy sources, those being wind and solar. This has, I think, been considered off and on for at least a couple of years, and we're at a point where we have an ordinance that we think is fit for adoption, and I'd like to set November 13 as the date for the public hearing on that.
Okay.
That'll give me time to get the notice published and give everyone plenty of time to be here or weigh in if anybody in the public has a view on this.
And just a comment, this has had public hearing at the Planning Commission level, and we've also had a subcommittee of the Planning Commission members, and so I had met, as you said, for the last 18 months probably to kind of vet that out and see what our neighboring counties are at. So, as you said, it's fit for conversation at this level now.
And while I'm here requesting this, I don't want to take any credit for its drafting or its review or its shepherding through. Well, I'm only here to, I certainly want to give credit to all the people who worked on it, and I'm barely one of those people, so.
So if I can ask, Manager, back when we had the applications for the current wind farms that we have in Clay County, there was quite a bit of dialogue that went on within the communities, and based on some state regulations and all of those types of things, or state authorization, which areas are authorized by the state, I believe, and which areas are operated, depending on the size. So all those things, I'm assuming, are going to be incorporated into this.
If I can comment
Yeah,
on that. Yes.
I defer to somebody.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
and a lot
history of this.
really has changed in the time period from when those initially went in, and so now what we have is, say a company wants to put in a solar panel on someone's property. In order to have our ordinance set, it will ease these things coming up, and so there are several applications for that, but it takes into account what the state requirements were, and then we can cater it to really what the county needs.
Okay. And I think the issues that I'm referring to probably aren't related to as much with solar as it was with the wind energy.
And I should say that the wind energy piece is part of this renewable energy ordinance,
Okay.
and that has been discussed.
Okay,
It is.
okay.
The regulations on the two things are quite different, and in some sense, it's almost two ordinances. I mean, it's a solar ordinance and a wind ordinance, and each one.
They have their own specificities, or whatever you might want to call it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
But yes, Mr. Magnuson worked on this, and then Ben Olson and Jenny Shamarja, as well as yourself, and so it's been a group effort to get it here. So,
Very good.
so you're looking for a motion to approve setting.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Whalen and a second by Commissioner Campbell. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. I'll get it published.
Appreciate it. Item number 3 is the verification that Klein McCarthy Architects were the primary designers. We have Stephen Larson for this.
Good morning, Madam Chair,
Good
Commissioners.
morning.
I recently received an email from Scott Fedek, Klein McCarthy, in requesting permission to apply for a 179D commercial building energy efficiency tax deduction. It's based on new construction or remodel of construction that deals with efficiencies in interior lighting, heating, cooling, ventilation, hot water systems. In the event that the construction is a public building or government building, we are not eligible for that tax credit, so it then goes to the designer. And so Scott is requesting permission to apply for this deduction. It actually ended in December 31st of 2017, but they're going to request the ability to go back, being that the buildings had already started. This would be both on the law enforcement center and the jail.
Comments? And I did ask that this be placed up for discussion should anyone want to, as opposed to putting it on consent agenda, if anyone had any questions regarding. Any comments? What's the board's wishes?
Does this require us to?
I believe it does
There
need.
are two documents that require the board signature, a board chair's signature, requesting or allowing permission for them to look into the rebate or deduction.
All right.
Is the board wanting to take action on this?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Whalen
Second.
and a second by Commissioner Campbell. Further discussion? Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Eric, are you covering the next item? Okay. Request for approval to create a new position of road foreman. Eric Covey, good morning. Assistant County Engineer.
Before I get started, did everyone get a copy of the org chart? I didn't bring extras.
It's-
Here, pass them out.
It's on the back of the
Yeah.
memo. Yep.
Yep, that'll be.
Highway memo. In your packet.
The discussion. So. Yes, so I am here this morning to request a new position at the Highway Department. It has been an ongoing discussion for a couple of years now, and it recently kind of came back to light with the resignation of our past maintenance supervisor. So I guess to start out with, maybe it would help just to kind of run through the org chart, kind of explain the structure, and then after that, I'll kind of get into some of the reasoning behind the changes we're proposing.
Do you have any extras?
Oh, yeah, of course.
It should be on the
The
back.
highway.
So at the top there, you can see we have the maintenance supervisor, and that is the new employee that just started yesterday, actually. So we're excited to have him on board.
The same position, different person.
Yep, correct. Yep, it used to be Brian, and now Kim Carpenter is the new maintenance supervisor. So we're getting him up to speed, excited to have him on board. In that position, just to give you an overview, this is just kind of a zoomed-in view of just the maintenance division of our org chart. And at the top of that, we have our maintenance supervisor. He's responsible for about 1,600 road miles, about 25 employees, and 7 outlying shops. So it's a pretty big territory, and so that's the top there. And then on the left, we do, in the winter, hire a couple seasonal snowplow operators to help fill the plow trucks. And then we have 11 motor grader operators in the middle there, and they're responsible for snow removal and gravel road maintenance. And there's about 11 districts spread out over the county. And then on the far right there, we have our maintenance worker side, and that whole area is kind of focused on maintenance operations, you know, crack filling, clearing and grubbing, ditch work, pretty much anything you can name. They're kind of the crew that goes out there to fix stuff. And then in the yellow there is actually the new position we're proposing to create. The title would be a road foreman, and this position would actually perform crew work, so he'd be out there working with the crew, operating machinery. He would actually schedule and direct the work of the crew on the site, so there'd always be a guy in charge with the crew. And then he'd kind of be the right hand to the maintenance supervisor. He'd help cover that territory, check roads, schedule work, that sort of thing. And then in the winter, we are proposing to have a dedicated plow route. So that's the org chart. And then I guess to kind of go into the details as to why we're proposing this change and what kind of generated the discussion is, so the past 3 maintenance supervisors, we've had a lot of turnover in that position, and it really is just a critical position for us to maintain our roads, make sure they're safe for all our residents. And we've just had a lot of burnout, and all of the 3 past exit interviews have kind of indicated the same thing. Just it's a little too much territory for one guy to be responsible for the entire county. And so that kind of generated us to the discussion with this new position. And we're hoping that through this new structure, we can provide some assistance to the maintenance supervisor through the road foreman, and we can kind of better cover our territory and ultimately kind of provide a better service for our residents, make sure our roads are smooth and maintained and up to par. And then the other advantage that this would provide for us is, with the road foreman position, the guy out with the crew, there'll always be a guy in charge leading the work, so there'd be no confusion, and there'd be some authority and direction out on the road with the crew. And then this next point kind of gets into the funding, but we will be proposing to eliminate 2 part-time positions. And one advantage of that, I guess, is we're just seeing increasing difficulty to even find and hire these part-time positions. So by eliminating them, it's one less thing we'd have to advertise for, and we've even had difficulty filling them, so sometimes we're almost operating shorthanded. So I guess then the next thing would be funding. How are we going to pay for the new position? We are proposing to eliminate 2 part-time positions. One would be a seasonal snowplow operator in the winter that would be eliminated, and one would be a seasonal maintenance worker in the summer that would be eliminated. And then this new full-time position would fill those roles during the summer and winter months. And then also, you can see a small cost savings in the step hire of the new supervisor. He came in a little lower. And then also, the remaining costs would come out of other areas of the maintenance budget.
And I think it's important to mention that I think it's about a $40,000 difference. It will be more. I don't believe that pay structure was in here, but you can talk a little bit about that maintenance budget is run.
Yep.
You've run a little low in the past few years, and you felt that even with this increase, that it would be a sustainable addition.
Yep. Yeah, as Jenny mentioned, even with the elimination of the part-time positions, it is about $40,000 we will have to take from other areas of our maintenance budget. And we looked at past trends, and we do feel comfortable we can take that from other areas based on what we've been seeing in the past, and we do feel comfortable with that. So. And
I think it should be mentioned, this is a classic example of we're hearing comments on maybe how a structure isn't working, and how we're not serving the community in a way that we probably could otherwise. And so for us to really take into account the criticisms on how it was just too much of a workload for one person physically to do, I think it's important for us to take that into account. And I really feel like this will set the next people up to be more successful. Cool. Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I agree with your comments, and I think the fact that we are such a growing county too, that also means there's more travel on these roads, and which means there's more maintenance on the roads. Anytime you put more, especially on our hundreds of miles of gravel roads, whether they're county or township roads, that this is important. Listening to the previous maintenance supervisors, they've all said that it's just too much for one person. And when you get into the summer maintenance work that's done, there needs to be a leader amongst the crew. And right now, there really is no designated leader. And so when you have to have some decisions made or what's going to be done first, you have to have somebody be able to make that decision. So I think this is a good opportunity to do that. And I might add in your whole financing piece that part of our formula with the townships is also that they do help pay for all of this maintenance work that's done. So the formula will also have our townships investing into this as well. But it'll also be good for them, so. So I fully support your.
Any further questions or comments? So you're looking for a motion to approve?
Yeah, and if approved, we just request we could get advertising and then also have permission to backfill in case there was an internal applicant interested.
Okay.
Yep.
I would move approval.
We have a motion to approve the request by Commissioner Campbell
Second.
and a second by Commissioner Haney. Further discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Eric, I do want to just say thank you for addressing my concern with the driving lane on County Road 8 last week. I saw that you had a crew out there that was able to fill that. I know that that's not a road that the highway committee has looked at resurfacing,
Yeah.
but considering that that's been on the report for some of the poorest conditions in the county, and from what I've observed, it's falling apart. I mean, even the stuff that you had replaced has been pushed out bad. So I don't know if you can maybe look at that a little more on highway tracking.
Yeah, I think that's a great comment. We actually did hire some testing on that road too, so it's definitely on our radar, and I think it's something we can definitely look into at highway tracking.
Okay.
And as far as that blowout, I think they were out there Friday and kind of spray patched it in,
Yep.
but it's kind of been shoving out, so I think they're
Yeah.
actually gonna haul in some new pavement to patch it at least.
Yeah,
so
and I think the reality is that farmers are really trying hard to get this crop out, and I'm glad that they've had some good weather, but sometimes it's to the detriment of the roads, and that's one area that's really suffering because of it.
What is the slope of that road? Is that?
I don't know what the inslopes, it's an old road, I don't think it's been touched since maybe the 70s or 80s. So, and it's right near that drainage ditch as well,
Mhm.
so,
That's-
yeah.
that's part of it.
But,
Okay,
Yep.
all right, any further discussion? Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Item number 5 is the update on programming at the Juvenile Center. James O'Donnell, good morning, and also Commissioner Campbell's
Yeah,
presenting this.
maybe I'm not sure. I will start this off. We had our, I'll follow up a little bit in our committee report too, but we had our 11 County West Central Regional meeting, quarterly meeting last week, and there's been some community discussion about our juvenile center and its programming. And I've said that I think it's top-notch and there's nothing better, and that's why our facilities are full. And so Stephen, this even goes to kudos to you and James being on here. And I really wanted James to come here and kind of talk about especially this particular sheet here. And it kind of goes to the programming. So James, congratulations, but I want you to, give a little update on,
So,
if you can focus on.
you got, on that one?
Yeah.
So, kind of highlighted 3 areas at the advisory board meeting last week, kind of to indicate the quality of programming we're doing. One thing that the state's really focused on is disciplinary room time. Right now, our youth primarily just sleep in their room. They're being programmed all day. Disciplinary room time is used in times where their behaviors are too violent to be out in the pod area with the rest of the youth. So, looking at data going back, we changed up a lot of different things. We focused on programming, relationship-based with the youth and whatnot, and we've had a steady decline in disciplinary room time, physical interventions, the amount of times that we have to physically intervene to stop violence of some sort has also declined, and also critical incidents that we had to report to the state have fallen off too.
I think this is important to note also the time frame, and this is only in 3 years.
Yep.
I mean, how quickly you've been able to reduce with 3 years of an intense focus on eliminating or reducing.
So, Madam Chair, the public isn't seeing these charts, so just, I think, some important things to recognize here is that, in Q2 of 2016, there was 42 reports of physical interventions. That number is down to, in Q3 of 2018, it went from 42 down to 13.
Mm-hmm.
That's significant. That's saying that there's less negative activity going on amongst the kids, so you're doing some right things there. And the critical incidents, now, that's something that you're mandated to report. You don't get to choose that. If a certain criteria comes up, you have to report the critical. So again, now we're going from Q2 of 2015, there was 19 such critical incidents. Third quarter of 18, there was 1. I mean, that's significant, and I suggest this beyond here to thank you and your group there, and I think it shows why our facility is full, because our member counties want to use us for that reason.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's, our numbers these things are indicating that we're going down with behavioral issues. At the same point in time, our population's going up, mental health population's going up, but we're having significant impact on behaviors, so.
good deal.
And Madam Chair, Commissioners, I think one of the things that's also imperative for the public to understand during this time frame that James and the staff are seeing numbers drop, the level of challenging kids that are coming into that facility are skyrocketing. And so I think it's really a credit to James and the staff and their ability to adjust and deal with those kids, not just to house them, but also to work with them to make them better. And so I think that also is important for this board to understand.
James, why don't you tell people what critical incidents entail, so it's,
Okay,
they know what
critical
they're
incidents
talking
that
about.
have been reported to the state, there's about a dozen of them, and primarily the main ones are your suicide attempts and your assaults that lead to a criminal charge. So, being that, although we do have a lot of mental health, self-injurious behaviors and whatnot, we have quality staff that are able to see this coming before it happens, and they're not even getting the chance to make the attempt anymore. It's we're cutting it off at the low level. We're making the changes. We're out there at the pods with kids, and we're having that pro-social adult guidance that they want. One of the major things that we've done that other juvenile centers in the state have done is we primarily took away the TV. And a lot of people would look at that as the TV was kind of the babysitter. When we took that TV away, it really opened up the staff to work with the kids. And the kids, they want that pro-social adult guidance. They want that. And now we even have time where the TVs can be on, and the kids don't even want to turn the TV on. They want to finish having that conversation with Jake about whatever they're talking about the day before, and they just really want that pro-social adult guidance. And it's that relationship that's been able to drive the behaviors down, and then also the retention of the cognitive program that we do.
Commissioner Campbell?
Part of what we're trying to do, and even as we look at our work with behavioral health issues, also known as mental health issues, whether even in our adult populations, one of the what's so good about this is, and we hear it and we keep wanting to talk about it, and I know Commissioner Mojo, you've been on and involved with this, and to reach those kids at a younger age to help with that. And this is a perfect example. All of these kids that are part of these statistics still grow up to be adults, and hopefully they'll grow up to be adults then and not be incarcerated. So these are good things you're doing.
And Madam Chair, just to touch on, again, some kudos to what they're doing at the facility is, as you mentioned, Commissioner Campbell, we have an 11-county cooperative service agreement, but we also open up some of our treatment beds to outstate Minnesota. And what they're doing there at the facility is, the word is out. Grand Marais, down in southern Minnesota, we have kids coming into our programs from half a state away because of the work that they're doing.
Great news. I will also mention, last week we had the Behavioral Health Unit Committee for the new correctional facility, and Administrator Larson was there as well. And we, about a year ago, had talked a little bit about the Lakeland Mental Health Services, the grant that we got for these services in the Behavioral Health Unit at the jail. But we also talked a little bit about if there was a way that some of that staff could overlap with the needs in the juvenile. And I think that we wanted to give the jail staff a little bit of time to process, but know that, the more we can get those services into the juvenile center, I think we all agree, the better. And so let's continue those conversations early next year to see where there are areas we can collaborate, and because there will be here full time. So Any other comments on that, Steve?
No.
Okay, all right. Anything else? Great work. Thank you. Please thank your staff as well for this. We are to our committee reports segment of the meeting. Commissioner Campbell?
Okay. All right, last Tuesday, we did have solid waste, we had interviews for the cell construction for what we're gonna need to have for the next phase of our landfill. And we had two interested parties. We had interviews with both of them. Amongst the group of us that did the interviews, we were kind of split a little bit on what we thought. So we're going to have another presentation that's going to be given to our full SWAC board on Thursday morning, I believe. And so hopefully we'll come up with a recommendation there to who to hire for that. On Wednesday afternoon, we had a special diversion authority meeting, and the purpose of that, we had Major General Scott Spellman was here. What we got out of that, Senator Hoven was there, and he updated us on some federal legislation. One of the sticky points that was in there was regarding FEMA property from previous floods that had been, FEMA dollars had been used for them, which meant that you can't construct over any of that stuff by federal law. And part of that was in the area, especially under the new Plan B that we have out there. And so Senator Hoven said that legislation, I believe it was through the Word of Bill, now authorized so that we can cross those buyout areas. So that's another federal step that needed to be done. In addition to that, the Energy and Water Bill, there's an area called WIFIA, and that deals with financing abilities. And this would allow this project to be eligible for low-cost borrowing through the federal government, which could also save an awful lot of dollars in terms of interest rates. And then OMB was interested in, and this is the Office of Management and Budget at the federal level, was they're interested in the benefits of the P3 projects, and the Corps did receive another $150 million above their allotted budget to deal with some projects, and it's yet to determine just how much of that the FM diversion project will see. But so then Thursday morning we had our West Central Regional Juvenile Center update. We approved the 2019 budget. And of course, we had a lengthy discussion about what you heard about just now from James. So I won't go into that anymore. I attended a Cracker Barrel discussion with the Chamber of Commerce last Thursday afternoon. And this morning, we had a Greater Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Authority meeting, and we had a speaker from DEED. I thought there was a lot of good information shared there. And I think that includes, we had a PIC meeting. Was that last week we had the PIC meeting? Yeah, so we also had a PIC meeting. And the two primary things there was the Highway Department issues that we addressed today. And also we had an update from Darren on the comp study stuff there. And if you want to hear more about that, we can ask Darren to give an update. But
We also had a meeting on a grant opportunity for a detox.
oh, yes, that's right. We did have another meeting as well. But right now there's a state grant opportunity for for a county to receive up to $5 million for bricks and mortar issues relating to and we're thinking that it's a potential opportunity for our detox. So we're in the early stages of that. Commissioner Mojo and I are working together on that with several departments. So
Thank you.
that concludes my report.
Commissioner Haney.
Thank you. I was absent at last year's meeting, or last week's
month,
meeting, rather.
week.
So should I give the report from that previous week?
Yes,
that I didn't?
please.
Okay. On the 10th of October, I attended, along with Commissioner Wayland, the Northwest Radio Emergency Communications Board, ITV meeting. He probably gave a report of that last week, I'm assuming. Then on Thursday that week, I attended the Clay County Soil and Water Conservation District meeting, and it was a regularly scheduled meeting. We had a discussion about the buffer laws. Of course, it's always a very hot topic in soil and water. We're awaiting results from the gubernatorial race, of course, to see what the new policies will be in the next year. We also had a discussion of noxious weed grant applications. We're asking for a grant to work on common tansy, wild parsnip, and spotted knapweed. And of course, everyone has the looming danger from, what is the name of it?
Palmer amaranth.
Palmer amaranth, yeah. And that's the one that's really devastating to crops. And then we also, let's see, then they had the regular reports, but I had to go to another meeting after that. Then on Friday the 19th, last Friday, I attended the Clay County Early Childhood Initiative, and we, just a second here. Liz from Clay County Health gave us a quarterly report on nurse-family partnership and the Healthy Families America. We're down 2 nurses currently, one due to maternity leave, others trying to fill in. One nurse is retiring, so that's created a shortage. Then we worked on our 2019 work plan. We had a round table with all the providers that were there. Where should we focus our efforts? There's a turnover in licensed daycare. That was discussed. Also, unlicensed providers discussed. We discussed materials which assist in autism identification, and parent education in regards to childhood development was discussed, and we need to finalize our ideas by the next month. Then today, I had attended the breakfast with the deed administrator at the Marriott in Moorhead for the Greater Fargo-Moorhead Economic Development Corporation, along with the other commissioners. And that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Haney. Commissioner Wayland.
Let's see, I had the solid waste project interviews with Commissioner Campbell last week, and I think we have 2 good companies that are vying for that job. I think we're fortunate there, so we should be able to come to some good resolution on that in the near future. Had the Diversion Authority meeting that Commissioner Campbell reported on. That was interesting, and one of the main generals from the Corps was at the meeting and provided good insight and information. Had the detention board meeting last week, and we've had reports on that already. But I think that the detention center, thanks to Steve for all his years of service and building it to what it is today, and I think James will continue that. And I know all the county commissioners involved on that board are very proud of what's been done there, and so it has a bright future. And then I had the EDC event this morning. That was it for me.
Thank you. Last week I attended the PIC committee meeting. That's been covered by Commissioner Campbell. I also will add that the gave some direction to Darren to find or pull together some more information so we can make a decision in terms of the wage study, I guess. The next meeting, the grant opportunity, anytime there's an opportunity to have $5 million in grant funding awarded, you take a serious look at it. So I appreciate staff for, I don't want to say scrambling, but that is a short deadline, but getting everything together for that. We did have the behavioral health subcommittee meeting, transition update from Julie in regards to the correctional facility, and final programming collaboration between Lakeland Mental Health and the jail. The new proposed name for that is the River Program. So bringing together what they named the different pods, I think that's great. And we had a update from the jail ministry service, and this is an amazing opportunity about local citizens taking a vested interest to realize what benefit can result. That jail ministry now has 3 transition homes in Clay County where they're taking individuals, male and female, as they're getting out, and a pretty intensive curriculum in terms of getting them on their feet, but they have some great success. There's 2 in Moorhead, and now there's 1 in Holly, and it's exciting that, like I said, the government doesn't have to support that. There's some local residents that have taken an interest in that. The chemical health services planning is something that we've always known we needed to have more discussion on in terms of implementation at the jail. It's kind of that second phase. The conversations will happen more in January as to what we need, but obviously all of us know that there's some chemical health needs within that jail population, and so we're trying to collaborate on what best services we can work together. And the Mayor's Blue Ribbon Commission wanted a soundbite on the new behavioral health services for the jail, and there's an individual, I believe his name is Brian, professional from Lakeland, that will be doing that. I also had the Planning Commission meeting Tuesday as well. There were 2 hearings, one in regards to a operation of a dog kennel in Tansen Township that we did approve, and one was an operation of a trucking business in Barnesville Township. The city of Barnesville did have some concerns in regards to the overall appeal of that property, but I feel like we were able to address what their concerns with conditions on the permit. Last week I also attended, I should also note that the Buffalo Aquifer concern that Moorhead Public Service had in regards to the Strata pit, we had letters from attorneys representing both parties, but I am hoping they were able to work that out because they did not present at the Planning Commission level. MetroCog meeting last week. One item of note is they are having this new Metro Grow is the process of updating the long-range transportation plan. There is a public open house tomorrow from 11 to 1 at the Moorhead Public Library, and also Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Rested Rec Center in West Fargo. A good opportunity to see what that long-range transportation needs and update will be. We did have a fairly long conversation on the 76th Avenue, Cass County 76th Avenue corridor study, which, if you recall, butts up with 80th Avenue in Clay County. That has been identified as a future river crossing down the road, and as they're addressing what that corridor study would need, they talked a little bit about the Clay County piece as well. I believe our engineers are part of that conversation. And then had a pretty good discussion on an overview of grant solicitations that we'll be applying for, and then because the Diversion Authority has moved their November and December meetings because of holidays, we will also move ours to help allow for people to attend. And I also attended the meeting this morning. I appreciate the conversation and the people that were there. I think possibly having that person as a presenter at the annual, your joint powers retreat in January, that might be helpful, because counties need to be active in terms of how we facilitate an environment for people to come and live and work. And so anything that we can do to possibly encourage that, I think, is important, so that dialogue should continue. And that concludes, do you have something to add? No. I will say that the meeting on Friday, which is the AMC meeting, Steve has given us what, they're requiring a different outlay of how things will be presented, and so in terms of what the county levy is and what is driving the levy and the legislative priorities and topics, if there's anything that you would like to add to that, I will not be attending that. I'll stay back to attend the transportation meeting that day. Is there anything you'd like to see on this?
Steve, are you gonna be there?
I'm planning to attend, yes.
Will you give our county report?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so if there's anything else you'd like to add on to, and to.
They
add
need to have
this.
that beforehand,
Yep.
so just talk to Steve and we can do that. That concludes my reports, thank you.
I just had a couple of different things here, meetings last week, many of them have been touched on already. On the 16th, I participated in the PIC meeting, it's been well covered. Also in the grant discussion, the behavioral health meeting. On the 17th, I participated in the department head evaluation and attended the special Metro Flood Division meeting. On the 18th, we had our central administration meeting updating on the different departments here at the county. On the 19th, I spoke with Tom Fuchs in regards to the construction project at the juvenile center. On the 19th, also had a meeting with Darren on a personnel matter, and I also attended the FN Diversion Administrative Advisory Staff meeting. On Monday, attended another grant planning meeting, and also had a meeting with James in regards to the West Central Regional Juvenile Center. I attended the Greater Fargo-Moorhead Development meeting this morning, and I think just as a side note, after the meeting, I did speak with Justin Ford, not sure of that, from Midco, and he wanted to share with me, we've had some discussions in the past about broadband, and he kind of provided me an overall update of what Midco's plan looks like for Clay County over the next few years in the addition of infrastructure, and indicated that in very short term, Midco will have coverage throughout the entire county. So he stated that he would certainly be willing to come to a board meeting to provide an overview of what's going on right now and what will be coming in the next few years. So to just update the commissioners, we are with the new law enforcement center. Our emergency command center is changing from the courthouse to the law enforcement center, and they're going to be running their first drill tomorrow. So that's going to be going on from 8:30 in the morning till right around 11. I have nothing new, I guess, to report on the update of our negotiations with the city of Moorhead. Other than Pam Foss did reach out to the 4 sitting judges, and we do have a meeting scheduled with them on November 2nd at 12:30 to kind of talk about that. So, and the last thing that I had, I don't know that we need to discuss it today, but just looking ahead, Christmas and New Year's this year are on Tuesdays. And so from looking back at past meeting minutes, and it doesn't appear that we've had any discussion on how we want to handle the board during the holiday season. So what do you do?
What do you do? Do you typically move it to the next day? We can look at it.
Yeah.
Thursday before too.
Okay,
That
okay,
works.
all right, thank you. Does that conclude?
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Steve, do you have anything? Anything else? If not, we are adjourned.